This is AP Med. My name is Andrew Poveda, and today I'm interviewing Dr. Saldaña. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell the audience who you are.
Sure. My name is Fidencio Saldaña. I am originally from Los Angeles, but have lived in Boston for the past 30 years plus or so. I'm a cardiologist. I was a medical educator for the first part of my career and recently switched over to being more of a clinical cardiologist. And thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. Yeah. Do you want to tell me about your background, where you're from, the culture?
Absolutely. So, as mentioned, I grew up in Los Angeles. So my parents are both immigrants from Mexico. They grew up in small rural villages, and I always start with that background. I think it's an important part of my story. My dad's mother died when he was very young, when he was 13. He was the eldest of 7 children, I believe. And he came over to the U.S. In his late teens, initially with one of the Bracero programs, and then crossed the border a few times as a migrant farm worker. And my mom came to live with family in her late teens, early 20s. But those are my roots. They really didn't have very much formal education, maybe about to the 3rd grade or so. And as with many immigrants, both came to the U.S. For a better life. So when I was growing up, we grew up in inner city LA and East LA until I was about 5 or so. I always remember translating for my parents wherever they went, and that was kind of a big deal as a kid. And again, very common story for many immigrants, for Latinos, Hispanic, Latinx folks. And I joked that it was kind of like a superpower as a kid. It's a hierarchy, is that your parents are up here and you're down here, but you kind of felt special and very helpful. And that sort of stuck with me as something that I wanted to do. That idea of being able to help people was very powerful early on. And somehow the doctor's office is just kind of stuck. And as a kid, you don't really have an idea of what a doctor does or whatnot, but just that it was a figure that seemed to help people. I had this ability to speak Spanish, that was able to help my parents, and even not necessarily the doctor's office, but other people around town who didn't speak English. And I like school. I think my parents always emphasized education.
Yeah.
And I think the combination of that sort of planted the seed that it'd be cool to be a doctor.
It'd be cool to be a doctor.
Yeah.
How do you, like when you were first beginning, when you were still in like college or even back in high school, but most importantly in college, how did you think you had like the capacity to do what it takes to become a doctor? Because there's like you said, there's like a stigma involved with becoming a doctor, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I could really do it.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know what a doctor did at the time.
Right.
So what gave you the courage to apply to medical school and go through this whole process?
I think when I chat with students or give talks, one of the things that I like to do at the very beginning is to really ask people, why are you here? Not like, oh, I wanted to learn more about how to apply to medical school, but like deep down, what is it that drives you? And I think for me, there was that sense of, the phrase I use is giving back to, or helping people like my parents, or helping to take care of people like my parents. I think I was very moved by all the sacrifices that my parents had made to come to this country, to give my brother and me the education that they did, the life that they gave us. And I really felt that I wanted to give back. And that's really the motivation that sort of drives me to this day. And that when the times get tough, I think that's what I always came back to. It's not for me, I've been given the intelligence, the language skills, the cultural skills to be able to do a particular thing. And honestly, in college, I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. I had graduated top of my class in high school, was doing very well.
And college hit you hard?
And then when I got to Stanford, it hit hard. It was, I went to an okay high school.
Yep.
but it didn't compare to some of these very elite schools that students would be coming from, or even the social capital that other students had, or the ability to know how the system works, how to ask for help. So it hit pretty hard when I first got to college.
And being a first generation, because you said your parents are immigrants and they came here, being first generation is like, it's very, very hard to figure out how to navigate these spaces. Like you said, in college, other students, especially like going to a top college like what you went to, you saw that other people had these resources and they knew how to navigate it already. But as being a first gen, being the first in your family to go to college, how did you figure out how to like network, how to meet mentors and other things like that?
You know, I think that I got a little lucky, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
The first couple years at Stanford were kind of brute force. And I still had that desire to become a physician. And my pre-med advisor, interestingly a white woman, her name was Verity Powell, who I still fondly remember, she was like, you can do this. And this is what we need to do. So it wouldn't be taking all my classes at Stanford. I took some summer courses at UCLA. It wouldn't be applying after 4 years. I wound up applying after a gap year. It wouldn't be doing research or other things during college. It was during the gap year that I would do that. So I got really, really lucky that a mentor fell into my lap, and that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, especially for advisors. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people in today's times, they say advisors are against them. They're like, don't apply to medical
Right,
school. Or you get a C, you get a C in general chemistry, and then they're like, give up.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And two other things. I think the other mentor, again, was that I met his name is Dr. Robert Siegel, Bob Siegel, who I just saw at my 30th college reunion earlier last year.
Okay.
And he sort of took me under his wing. And he was extremely supportive of who I was, what I wanted to do. He was the one who helped me with my gap year, helped me to get a research position. And he was a natural teacher and a natural mentor where I didn't necessarily have to ask for very much. I didn't have to ask for, can you give me some positive feedback? Can you help me with med school applications? Can you give me positive words of encouragement? He just did that. That was the person that he was. And I think that's why it's important for students to have those mentoring skills. And every conference that we go to, typically there's some type of mentoring workshop, because culturally I think we don't want to bother anyone. I'm not important enough. These people are too busy. And we have to get over that to be able to advocate for ourselves. And the last piece was the introduction to the greater community that happened when I joined, at that time it was called Chicanos in Health Education, so it was the Latino and Latinx pre-med group at Stanford. And that was inspirational, I think. It was peers that were going through the same thing. There were near peers who had gotten into medical school and had the same background and were successful. So it was the combination of really kind of keeping that motivation in mind.
Yeah.
The two key mentors that I had, and then the community around me.
Yeah. So you keep mentioning mentorship over and over and over again. And you said you were a medical educator at one point. You taught, right? And I think medical education and mentorship are adjacent to each other, right? But just because you're a great medical educator and you're a great lecturer doesn't mean you're necessarily a great mentor. Like you said, that one mentor you met, he knew to give you positive he knew to give you critical feedback all the time without you even asking. So what do you think makes a great mentor, and how could a mentee reach out to and find the right mentors for them?
Yeah, so that's the topic as we're sitting here at the 2026 Regional Conference. the topic of my talk that I'm about to give in about an hour or so.
Yeah.
So I think one is changing the internal view of ourselves, that recognizing that we are important, that you know, we have a right to the access to quality mentors, that it's a skill that we can learn, and that it is not always going to work out. So that idea that, well, if I tried once, it didn't work, that there will be a little bit of rejection or things that don't work. So I think one, that we are entitled to mentorship and we deserve it, that it's a skill that we need to learn, and knowing that it's a little bit of trial and error. So I think those are kind of the foundational principles to recognize. And I want to focus on the idea of mentorship being a skill because we need to be able to take action. We need to be able to evaluate whether something is working and either nurture the relationship or be able to move on from that relationship.
True.
So the preparation is being aware of where do I ask and who do I ask? And the answer to that is anyone who will listen to you. And it is really anyone that you have any potential interest in getting advice from or developing a further relationship with, whether it is a person who gave one talk, a random person you saw with an ID badge that says MD walking down the hallway, conferences, rotations, classrooms, really everywhere. So it's recognizing, okay, there's all these potential folks that I could ask.
Yeah. Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
So it's really, like you go to all these places like conferences, or maybe you just see a medical student, maybe you're nearby a medical school and you just meet people organically, right? And how do you recommend staying in touch with them in terms of like beyond just could I have like a research opportunity, and beyond that, how do you recommend us just keeping in touch? Because everyone says keep in touch, but it's very hard.
That's where the skill comes. So
hard,
here's the skill. So one, what's the approach? How do you approach someone? So that's where you have what folks call the elevator speech or the elevator email. Basically, it's who are you at your core? So I would tell you if I am using my own life currently.
Yeah.
So
give us a 30-second
as
elevator pitch.
As I mentioned, so I finished my cardiology fellowship in 2009, and from 2009 to last year, I was a medical educator. So I was developed curriculum. I was a diversity office faculty member, course director, course developer, and for the last 10 years or so, dean for students at Harvard Medical School. And I switched over to being a cardiologist. So I'm still looking for mentors. I'm older, but I still would like to continue to be active in my career. So it would be, if let's say I fell in love with Buffalo, and I was thinking, maybe I'd like to come back and work here one day. I saw one of the deans, and I would say, hi, Dean, it's Fidencio Saldaña. I'm the faculty advisor, and I've recently switched from, I've been working in medical education for the last 15 years, but at Harvard, and recently became a clinical cardiologist. But I'd like to come back to medical education sometime, and I would love to have a conversation with you too, and this could be fill in the blank, to talk more about your work here in Buffalo, to maybe talk about the potential jobs here. So it is who I am, a little bit about what's unique about my background, and why I'm interested or my ask for that particular individual. And he could say, no. It's like, okay, thanks very much.
So, so on a professional level, even when you're so much older and you're so experienced in the field, you're telling me you're still doing like coffee chats with people in your like I would love to have a coffee with you. Let me introduce
Absolutely.
myself to you, and I
Absolutely.
would love to hear about your work here, because I mean that's what all about the platform LinkedIn is. Like,
It
oh,
is.
could I have a
It is, it
15-minute
is.
coffee chat with you? Could I learn about
Yes.
your work? Could
Yeah.
I get a referral most of the time?
Yeah.
So it's like that when you're applying for other positions out of.
It is,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just out of genuine interest. It's nice to have a network. A student asks, I'm interested in someone in residency in Los Angeles. Oh, I have
A friend.
former student who was down there, or someone I know is chief there. So the mentorship expands into the idea of building a network as well, which, as you said, now the modern day networks are a lot of online type interactions, digital interactions, rather than the in-person. But there's something valuable about those in-person.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to continue with your question. So you had mentioned, okay, you have your elevator speech of who you are, some interesting background about you that will connect you to that person, and
Yeah.
the ask.
Exactly. How do you?
And they
ask?
say yes or no, and great.
Mhm.
Can I then, can I get your contact info to follow up? And then you follow up by kind of recalling how you met, what the interest is, could we set up a time?
Mhm.
And that could be here at the conference with a med student, with a peer, with a faculty member. And then you have that conversation. And there's many asks for a mentor. So is the ask something, can you refer me to someone, a position?
That's a big ask. Yeah.
Or it could even be, is it okay if I check in with you in 3 to 6 months? So what I advise pre-meds, medical students, everyone. So as an example, a medical student may need a letter of recommendation, or maybe they just mentor a network is, you kind of, and I do this with my mentees as well, is you just kind of keep in touch by saying, can I contact you? Can we chat again in 6 months? And I have mentees that will email me and just give me the update. We'll hop on a Zoom and we'll just, maybe there is no ask at that point. It's more so, the ask is, will you listen to me? Tell me about, as I tell you about the updates in my life. And maybe 3 years from now, after those every 6 month interactions, maybe, can you read my personal statement? Or can you give me a mock interview? But that's the way to sort of stay in touch, is you don't, the ask is it okay if I contact you in 6 months so that you listen to me, update you on my life?
Yeah, because after, like, think of it as your birthday. Every single year, you're like, did I improve? Did I change drastically from the last year? Especially, I'm so young, so I'm thinking, did I change that much from 17 compared to how I am at 18? Then next month I'm turning 19. Did I accomplish what I set out to do when I was 18? And then now I'm turning 19. So it's the same way for like communication and stuff like that. Like, 3 months or 4 months in a semester in college, you're updating because so much happens in a semester. Like, oh, I got good grades.
Right.
Oh, I got this research opportunity.
Yeah.
You're just updating people on the things you're currently doing, the things you hope to do, just life updates in general. It's like you're talking to, like,
absolutely.
catching somebody up.
So let's say if you weren't just interviewing but wanted to be a mentee of mine, you would maybe after we finished here ask, hey, I enjoyed the podcast. Would it be okay if we chatted? And then you would give me a follow-up email, and we would set up a Zoom, we would chat, and then could we chat in 6 months, and maybe we chat every 6 months for a couple years, and then the applications come, and then, there's more, the ask changes a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the initial follow-up, and then if we're going to keep talking about it, sort of the troubleshooting.
Yeah.
You realize that people are busy,
Yeah, of
and
course.
I think what you did I think we're shifting into maintaining those relationships, maintaining maintaining the relationship. You did something very nice when we saw each other. It's like, oh, it's Andrew. Do you remember me? It's like in the recess of my mind, it was like, oh, okay, a podcast. Okay, yes. But if you really truly saw a glazed face and you thought I was like, he didn't remember the podcast. Reintroduce yourself, even if they don't ask, do you remember me? Just like, okay, hi, Andrew, we talked about that, and you kind of rekindle that. So that's also a great skill to have, is that if you see someone in person, reminding them and doing that, that was beautiful. So those are kind of different ways. If remember, we're busy.
Of course.
And if we don't reply, it's not maybe because we don't want to. I think you can follow up with another communication in a certain period of time. But if someone really doesn't respond, then it's like, okay.
Take a hint.
Yeah, and it's not, don't think of it that it's something on you. It's not that they didn't like who you were, or maybe they did or didn't, but
never take it personal.
Don't
That's
take it personally.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
Exactly. That, okay, it's just not the right fit. Maybe it's not the right time for that person.
What do you think is the proper amount of emails before it's like, I'm really annoying them? I think like 3 is max.
3 would definitely be max. Sometimes, I think the other polite one, going in a couple weeks, and then by the 3rd one, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So, as a medical educator, as dean of students at Harvard, how is it being one of the only few Latinos in an administrative position, like at Rutgers NJMS, the medical school I'm going to go to? Dean Mercedes Rivero. Do you know her?
Of course.
Yeah. I feel like because like it's such a tight knit network, and
it is a tight knit network.
There's such few Latinos in administrative positions. How is it being? Like, how did you get to that point? I know Dr. Carrillo was talking about the book they wrote of how to become a administrative position.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to tell me a bit about your experience, how you got there?
I think it really relates to everything that we've been talking about so far. So I think one is finding what you really enjoy doing. And I found that I really enjoyed mentoring and teaching. And it is speaking to people and letting them know what you like to do, or what you'd be interested, so that when opportunities come up, they sort of think of you. And I really enjoyed education, mentorship, and I felt blessed that I was able to really secure really interesting and fulfilling positions. And that was kind of the start. It was, what do I enjoy doing? What do I want to do? And let me tell as many people as I can about it. And thirdly, because I enjoy what I'm doing it very well. I'm a good teacher, I'm a good administrator, I'm a good mentor, I'm recognized for those particular talents.
Yeah.
And it is having that network of mentors that can help. Oh, maybe you should do this, or maybe, I'm going to talk to this person about you for this. And so it's that, again, going back to that mentorship network where folks can, beyond mentorship, folks can be a sponsor, where they actually will open doors and provide you with opportunities more than just the advice that they give you. So it was really a source of pride for me, where you really bring your background to that particular position. And in my position, I feel like we were able to kind of do a lot. We changed the way even that we did orientation to kind of include more aspects of the community that we were serving. I felt like we were able to put in more health equity into our curriculum, even though I was a student affairs and not curricular person. I think by just being in that position, making it a more inclusive spot for students of color. The people that I was able to hire to be advisors is a very diverse group of folks as well. So I think for me, I went into medicine and again was to help people like my parents, whether it was with direct patient care, whether it was to teach people how to take care of people like my parents, whether it was to mentor students along the way with similar backgrounds to mine, and all students of course, but with a particular interest in students who are a little more disadvantaged.
Yeah, we always want to help people more that look like us.
Yeah.
You're like, you relate to them.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's definitely, we've had to come together, which makes podcasts such as this and meetings such as LMSA more important during this particular time, where a lot of the issues of health equity and diversity, equity, inclusion maybe aren't being as highlighted as much as they used to.
Yeah. If someone were to be listening to this and they didn't listen to a single word you said, how do you want them to remember you by? Like, what's one thing that you just want, like a theme that you want to give to them, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is how they'll remember Fidencio Saldaña.
Yeah. I guess one, not to remember me, but I think my message is that you're important, you matter, you're a value, and that just by the fact of being who you are, nothing external, no accomplishments, no CVs, that you're an incredibly valuable individual, and really encouraging you to follow the path that interests you the most. And then secondarily, remember, you can't do it by yourself. It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. That it's so important to get the support that you need as well. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. This is AP Med. My name is Andrew Poveda, and we just finished interviewing Dr. Saldaña at the LMSA Northeast Conference. Thank you.